What? That's what I mean!
I knew it was exciting, and there are a couple of scenes which read very, very well, and it kind of seemed very vibrant and crazy. But the closer I got to shooting it, I just hadn't got a clue.
No!
It's tough in some ways because you feel like you've got to fill a lot of space when you've only got two people. But at the same time, it's kind of nice because there's no waiting around, especially with a very dialogue-heavy script like this. It's very invigorating.
You don't like me cooking? Oh, don't be such an old bitch!
When there's only two actors, of course, you're dependent on each other. This is very full on, and we're kind of joined at the hip because everything that he does affects what I do, and everything I do affects what he does.
I'd seen examples of how bombastic and just huge he can get with something, and this script really called for just enormous amounts of energy. And so as soon as I saw Willem, I'm like, oh, this is going to be really, really fun.
Hark! Hark!
My work as a theater actor, of course, informs everything I do in the movies. That really is what formed me, and it still forms me.
Look at ye, handsome lad with eyes bright as a lady. Come to this rock, playing the tough. You make me laugh with your false grum. Ye pretended there's some mystery in your quietudes, but there ain't no mystery. You're an open book. A picture, says I. A painted actress screaming in the footlights. A bitch what wants to be coveted for nothing but being born, crying about the silver spoon what should have been yours.
Certainly, with these long monologues, you get much more practice at that in the theater than you do in films. Here, you had to deal with the poetry of the text. There's a music and a rhythm that's very important, otherwise the images aren't conveyed.
I think in the writing was so acrobatic, especially when they get really drunk. You can kind of see that it makes you want to like run around and like you're screaming at people and stuff. And it's so intense that you know there's no limit to where you can really go with it, and there's hardly any scripts where you can go like, oh, I can really, really go mental in this.
Dance! Dance, Winslow! Dance! Come on, you boys, the wind through here! How we got to the woods last year? Into the same we jumped out of these! We got put in a big dog!
There's something nice about that formality, like especially when you're doing scenes which are very high intensity to high velocity, and then it's put into kind of mise en scène that's very static. There's one shot when we're completely wasted next to each other, and it was a very long scene, and the shot is so tight and so still, and we're like locked into a very particular body language, and to try and kind of wind yourself up into that high energy without moving at all. I mean, it was kind of, it's stressful, but I think it translates into the movie, which is pretty great.
C94 part 2 or part whatever the fuck. Right. Snyder shot. That must be done also on a rock because we see their film.
Every film has its own challenges, its own process, its own identity. And this one, it's so grounded in Robert Eggers, really. I think it's interesting that it's very specific. It's something of a psychological thriller, I'd say. We had a quite brief rehearsal period, but it wasn't so much for the performing, it was really more to block out our movements.
All right, so that's a rehearsal. Oh, we're gonna do a rehearsal, but I want to watch.
Okay, yeah.
Quiet, rehearsing.
And get the geography of the scenes, because that was essential to realize where the camera would be.
Is that frame?
Frame.
Action.
Goddamn drunken horse shitting short shit liar.